Hi there, this is the grade 9 trans math lesson on writing a check. So writing a check is one way to transfer money from a person to a person to a business, maybe you're paying a bill, from a business to a business, maybe you're running a business and you have to get supplies from somewhere else, maybe a business to a person, example is insurance, maybe there's a rebate or something or other. For example, right now in the COVID crisis, MPI, the auto insurer is sending money back to people, so that's one way we're going to be getting checks. From a government to a person, maybe your tax rebate. For person to government, maybe you're paying your property tax at Dauphin City Hall. So these are all ways that you might need to transfer money. And at one time, before credit cards or debit cards or e-transfers became popular, it was really the only way to transfer money. So it's just a piece of paper that sends money. So a check is basically a note to a bank saying, pay this person out of my account. It's really just, that's what it is. It's a letter, it's a note that says, transfer my money from my account to this person. So here are some things, though, to remember when you're dealing with checks. You should never, ever sign a blank check. That means that someone could fill in the rest and you can lose a lot of money. As soon as you sign it, then the rest of the check is valid. And if it's blank, then people can fill in any amount that they want. You should always use a pen, ink, not a pencil, for the same reasons. People could erase and change. You should not alter checks once they've been written. Sometimes if you made a small mistake, you can make a small little change and initial it, and it's okay. But you have to take care that you don't make any mistakes when you're writing a check. You should make sure the date is correct because there's an expiry date on checks. And you have to, oh, I got a mistake here. You have to write the amount in numbers and words, taking care not to leave any spaces where someone could add in extra words. And I'll explain that more in a bit here once we see a picture. So here is a check. You've probably seen these before. Maybe you've wondered a little bit about them and never really sort of been taught about them. So let's take a moment and have a look at these different parts here. So they're numbered here. This is part number 1 right here. Maybe I can get a highlighter here. Yeah, right here. Okay. So part number 1, this is called the drawer's information. When you write a check, you're the drawer. Okay, you're drawing money off your account. So your information appears here. Usually it's pre-printed. For example, I have a checking account. I have a whole bunch of checks that say my name and address right here. But if you're not often using checks, you might have to go to a bank and they'll give you what's called a blank check or a generic one. And then you have to fill in your name and address there. Okay, so that's where your name goes in part number 1. Part number 2 right here where it says pay to the order of, right here, there's a big long line right here. This is where you write the name of the business, the organization, or the person that the check is written to, who you are sending the money to. Part 3 right here, this long line. Write the check amount in words. You have to write it in words here. For example, if you're writing a check for, say, $50, you need to write it as 50, F-I-F-T-Y, dollars. Okay, it has the dollars here at the end for you. So all you'd have to write is the word 50. Okay, so for example, let me just see if I can erase that yellow. Yeah. And I'm going to write in here 50. Okay. And then you draw a line through any spaces and be sure to put 00 above the 100 right here if there are no cents. So we've written the word 50. You should do this like that and put 00, or some people put XX. That means that, and you really shouldn't leave that space either. Oh, I got it yellow. The reason for that is so that people can't change it. So for example, if I didn't do that, if I didn't write that 50, and I made a check out to someone, they could write in here 50,000 and they might get $50,000 from it. Okay, so that's the reason why you don't want to leave a blank there. So you don't want to let people do that. Okay, the drawee's information. Your financial institution is the drawee. So this part right here, and this should be pre-printed from your bank, credit union, what have you. If you write this check to someone, they take it to their bank. Oh, I got another spelling mistake here. They take it to their bank. Their bank has to know where your account is. So for example, let's say I write a check to, I buy a car in, say, Roblin, okay, and I write someone a check, and I give them the check. When they take that check to their bank needs to know where's my bank, where's my money, so that they know where to mail it to. Okay, so that's why there's an address on there. And then you don't have to worry about that. That's completely pre-done. Okay, part 5 right down here. This is a space for a memo right here. So there's a little blank line right here, and that just allows you a spot for if you want to write something. So for example, if I wrote a check for a car, uh, bought Trans Am or whatever, Corvette, whatever I happen to buy, right? You can pull that in, fill that in there, and then you know what that check is for when you get it in your records. When you write checks, generally the bank will send them back to you for you to keep as a sort of proof that it's been paid. Nowadays, it's mostly electronic, just an email. This part down here, this is all micro encoding. You don't need to worry about this at all. These numbers, when the bank gets the check, the machines at the bank can read these numbers here, and that tells the other bank what account number it's from. So this is the check number 121, same as that right there. Okay, transit number is helps them identify which bank it is. Route or financial institution number, that tells them which branch it is. So like 123 might be Royal Bank, 678 would be branch 678, maybe the Dauphin branch. In this case, it's somewhere else. It's an Ontario example that I've got here. And then this is your account number here so that it knows exactly what account to bring the money out of. Again, you don't need to worry about that. That's all done for you. The date goes up here. That's a place that you do have to fill in. Okay, so you see that it says DDMM YYYY. So what that is the date. So if they've got a 7, I guess that's a spot. They've overcovered the 7 here, but so there's not going to be a 7th day. So let's put in here the day. Let's say it's the 17th day of May. So it'd be 17/05/2020. Okay, and the reason that you put the date on there is because checks do expire. They run out, just like well, like milk or cheese would expire, right? It's only good for so long. I believe it's 6 months. Okay, you write the check amount in numbers right here. So this one has already, oh, it's got the 8 because that's spot number 8. So let's say it's back to our $50. So you would write 50.00. Okay, so there's 2 ways to describe the amount. Okay, and that sort of helps to discourage fraud. Part number 9, sign your name here to make the check official. It can't be cashed if it's not signed. So here's where you actually sign your name. Okay. A lot of people will say that it must be written, but my research tells me that it doesn't have to actually be cursive writing. But it's a good idea to do that. The reason that you want to do that is have a distinctive signature so that no one can copy your signature. If someone got a hold of your checks, they could sign them and then someone else could cash them, okay? So you want to try to have a unique signature. As you can see, mine is pretty unique. That's not my exact signature, but I kind of scribbled it, but it would be very hard for someone to copy my signature. Okay, so here's an example check right here. So this is from Mr. John Jones. He lives in Dundas Street in Toronto. He's paying to the Wikimedia Foundation. I'm not sure what that is. He's giving them $100.55. So you can see here he's written out $100, and you don't have to necessarily put the and, but just to draw the line. And then 55/100. This is in US dollars. I'm not sure what's going on there. Says donation. Then he signed it here, and of course the date up here as well. Okay, so there's 2 sort of ways to do this assignment because you do have to write a check. So if you have access to the paper copies of the assignment, or you can print it from online, you should go ahead and do that. If you don't have access to the paper assignments, or you can't print, or whatever reason, you should complete the online questions only. If you want to do both, then you'll have to make sure you get access to both, and that would be fine too. The online questions simply say, what did the person do wrong? So it's not a terrible idea to have a couple look at those questions anyway. So that is the lesson on writing checks.